Hello, this is Masamaki21, aka Fatboy D, and I'm here with another video update for you guys. This one is more of a video tutorial to help anyone. It's mainly for game expert, but this is for anyone who's having these issues with recording and editing and PVR settings and all that. Now, just to let you guys know, I've been through all of this. I've had like pretty much all these issues before, but over time, I learn from my mistakes and just get better. Some people just don't see the mistake and they just keep doing what they're doing and they're too lazy to fix it. So I thought I'd make this video to let you guys know how to do it. So let me just minimize this, get that out of the way. I'm just going to leave that up there. That can stay. Now let's jump right into the capture module for the PVR. Now the settings for the PVR are as shown. Let me just zoom in. I don't have any fancy zoom in module, so I have to do it like this. Alright. So this is at the bottom left hand corner of the PVR. Basically it shows the format of what you're recording. This is what it's going to save it as. So there's the PlayStation 3, the AVC HD, and the Xbox 360. Now, people think, they get the PVR and they think that, oh, this is 360. This is what I should be clicking on if I'm recording Xbox 360. Or, oh, I'm recording on a PS3, so I must pick PS3. But that's not how it is. Basically, these let you know what format it's going to be saved as. These are the formats that the consoles use. So Xbox 360, if you're gonna record something and you want to watch it on your 360, you would pick 360. It'll save it as an MP4 format, which is compatible with the Xbox 360, so whatever you recorded you can watch there. And the same thing goes for the PS3. It'll record it in M2TS, which is compatible with the PS3, so when you record it you can just put it on your PS3 and you can watch it through that. And then there's AVC HD for like cameras and all that crap. So now in terms of recording and uploading to YouTube, you're going to want to select PS3 because M2TS is a much better quality than MP4, and you obviously want the best quality when you're uploading videos, especially if you spent like $200 on a PVR and you're just saying, oh, I'm just going to use MP4 and have shitty quality. You don't want that. But in the end, your quality is going to be your format's gonna be MP4. It's gonna be M2TS MP4, something like that. Now moving on, let's get our format settings up. Device settings. There are like certain device settings you can use, but I say the device settings are for whatever game you're playing. It matters what game you're playing. You're gonna have to test it out. To be honest, you might want to do like a recording here, look at it and see what's wrong with it, and then you go into the settings, fix the saturation, fix the brightness, stuff like that. I can't really like say, here, use this and this is going to work for every game. It's not like that. The settings are determined on whatever you're playing and how you want things to look. So that's just something you have to experiment with until you find something that you like that works with the recording and the game that you're recording. So moving on, these are the what are these? These are the capture set. No, the format settings. The capture settings. These are the format settings of the PVR. So the source resolution should be 1280 by 720. Now 1280 by 720 is 720p. You do not want to go any higher than that. The PVR can go up to 1080i, but 1080i is a no-no when it comes to recording, because there are interlaced lines that you don't want. 1080p is the best way to go, but if you got a PVR, you can't go that high. So don't even set it to 1080p because the PVR is not going to see it. If you want to do a 1080p recording, I suggest you go for the Black Intensity Pro or something of that nature. The PCI Express capture cards, those are the ones that go up to 1080i, which are really, really good, but you have to install them. So if I would have gotten that if I was more tech savvy, if I knew how to install stuff into my PC. I'm not that good. I mean, I can put stuff here and there, but installing a PCI Express card is just something I cannot do. So I just left that alone and didn't even bother going for it. But anyway, Make sure your 360 is set at 720p. Don't go any lower, don't go any higher. Leave it at 720p when you're playing games, when you're recording, whenever you're doing anything. It's just a good setting. And there's not really a big difference between 720p and 1080p, unless you got like a really big TV, and a lot of people don't have TVs that big. So, moving on, we go down to quality bitrate. I know you can't see my mouse. I don't know why it's not showing my mouse. It's weird. But anyway, quality bitrate. You can see mine is set all the way to 13.5, which is the highest it can go. As you can see, it doesn't go any higher. You set it to a constant bitrate because you want it to be a constant 13.5 megabits per second. Now, this quality bitrate actually determines the size of the file at the end when you're done recording. So if you know you don't have the space for it, I suggest you set it a little bit lower, maybe like 8 to 9, I don't know. But if you got the space and you want really good quality, set it to 13.5. There's no other way to go. Now you can go down to the low pass filters. I just set those to 0. I honestly don't know what they're for. I just put them on 0. I think they start off on 2 or something. I put them on 0. Now, if you're recording with the PS3 settings, which is the M2TS, you have to set this to AC3 audio encoder, or Assassin's Creed 3, which I like to call it. M2TS. Well, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter, to be honest, unless you're using Sony Vegas, because Sony Vegas does not see AAC, if I'm correct. I don't think it sees AAC. If you record it in AAC and put it into Sony Vegas will be like, what the hell are you putting in here? I can't read this audio, and it'll just give you a blank audio track compared to having just the video. And you don't want that. You want the game's audio to be there too. So just set it to AC3 audio encoder, just to be on the safe side. You don't want any implications. You do a long recording and you don't get anything out of it. So now moving on. Now that you have your settings set up, and I'm trying to find the program I'm using. Okay. Now that you have the settings set up and all that good stuff, you want to start recording. So I'm gonna do a quick recording, and you guys can see for yourselves how I do this. Okay, there's no magic trick or anything. As you can see, I synced up when the recorder started to record the game and when I hit record on Audacity. So if you look at the bottom left hand corner where it says PlayStation 3, AVC, and HD, and Xbox 360, it'll turn gray as soon as the recorder starts recording. So what you want to do is, once it turns gray, you hit the record button on Audacity, and then they'll be pretty close. It'll probably be off by a second or two, but that's for you to fix. So for me, it was off by a second or two, and it's always like that. But at the end result is usually close enough for me to get it in sync, compared to just hitting them both randomly and just meshing them together, because that doesn't work. And if you just do them randomly like that, it'll be harder to sync together. So there's also a trick that I used to use back in the day where I'd count down before I started recording. That makes it a lot easier. If you go 5, 4, like after you start recording the game, after you hit record on the PVR, you go maybe 3, 2, 1, and then you hit record on Audacity, and then you'll know that it's off by like 3 seconds. So when it's time to sync it up, you can sync it up. So as you can see, this is the recording off of my desktop, and the next one will be the full recording of everything put together. There's no sound with the recording off of my desktop. I didn't put any. Alright, now let's move on. Now we're in Sony Vegas. Now first off, I just want to let you know what my settings are for Sony Vegas, so you can get the same settings, of course, because my settings are awesome. First, we're going to want to go to new. I'm not going to save this. I was just testing stuff out. I'm gonna hit cancel anyway. I'm just gonna tell you what to do. So let's slide this over here so you can see it better. So my template is HD 720p-60p, which is 60 frames per second, and it says 1280 by 720, and frames per second is 59.940. Now this is what you want. This is where you want it to be. If you don't have this template, make it yourself. It's not hard. Your width 1280, your height 720. Set your pixel aspect ratio to 1, leave field order to none. Set your frame rate to 59.940, which is double of NTSC. Reason why is because the games are made 60 frames per second. If you drop it down, and also the PVR records in 60 frames per second. So if you drop it down from 60 to 29.97 or 30 or something like that, it's not going to look right. So have it 59.94, which is basically 60. It's just a little bit off from 60. Leave your stereoscopic 3D mode off. Pixel format 8 bits. I'm trying to move it up so you can see it better. Move it over away from that. Put your full resolution rendering quality on best. You can see this from draft preview. Good, best. That's what you wanted. Motion blur type, whatever that is, and deinterlace method to none because it's already deinterlaced for you. And then you can just click start all new projects with these settings, so you don't have to do it again. And then it'll come into this. It'll be an empty project, and you put whatever you need to put in there. Now here's my stuff right here. My gameplay video. Here's the audio for the gameplay, and my commentary is at the bottom. I always put my commentary on the top, but I thought I'd put it at the bottom. I don't know why. Alright, so normally before I even start, I usually sync up the channels. I combine them. Makes it a lot easier to listen to. Mainly because for people who have like audio issues, like maybe they have one stereo working or something like that, it's a lot easier. So regardless if they have one stereo or two hooked up, they'll be able to hear it, or like if one works or two works. So no implications, you can hear perfectly. I also combine my commentary. It's usually set in 2, but I combine them as usual. I like combining. Only time I probably wouldn't combine is if I'm doing co-commentary with someone else, and I'll have them at in one ear and I'll be in the other. Moving on, now before I even do anything else, what I do is I go into properties. As you can see, properties, boom. What you want to do is remove loop, uncheck loop. Everything should be unchecked. Loop, maintain aspect ratio, change smart resample to disable, and leave everything else how it is. As you can see, it is 59.940 frames per second. This is the video itself. It's letting you know this is how many frames it is. So this is how many frames your project should be. So it's proper with the video. So after I do that, I move on to cropping the video, because if you notice, if you look closely, you can see like little black lines on the side right here, on the right side over here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like little black lines here, one little black line, and then there's one on the top going across. I like to get rid of those. There's none on the left or the bottom. Now, this happens with all PVRs. This it's not like it's only happening to me, or if I'm causing this myself. The PVR just does that for some reason, and you don't want those there. I mean, they're not that noticeable, but I'm a perfectionist, so I get rid of them. What I do is I go to, is my game still on? I'm being attacked or something. I don't know. I move to the video event pan/crop that opens up, and let's move it up here so you can see it better. And what I do is stop attaching yourself. What I do is there's these little anchor points on the corners, like these boxes. What you want to do is move it in properly to get rid of those lines. You can also see the change as you're doing it on the player in the back, so you know you're doing it right. So you just move it down just a smidge if possible, and you'll notice that the black lines go away, and you just move it until everything goes away. Now if you leave aspect ratio on, it won't be able to do this. It'll screw up. So make sure you take aspect ratio off So you can do this. Now, as you can see, those black lines are gone and everything looks better. Once you're done, you can save it as a preset. As you can see, you just name it whatever. So I go blah, and I can click save. I already have one. I saved it as trim. So every time I come in here, I just click trim and it does it for me. And then boom. So now, moving on. Once you've trimmed, unchecked stuff, combined your tracks, I like to put in a little color to my video. Now, as you can see, this is how all PVRs come out looking. They look like this. They look bland. You don't notice it at first when you're doing it, but once you add these settings, you'll notice a big difference. The colors get a lot better. So let me just find a spot to put it on that where it shows it pretty decently. So let's back it up from up here. Now, it looks all well and good. It's in HD. It looks pretty awesome. 1280 by 720p, and you got your 60 frames per second. What I like to do is I go into video effects. It's usually on the side. Now, this might not be the same for you, Game Expert, mainly because you are using Sony Vegas 11, but usually it's in, it should be in the top. When you go to view, you go down and you go to video effects. It should be there. I'm pretty sure they didn't change this, so just go to view, video effects, click it, and it'll pop up. Then what you want to do is go to color corrector secondary and then select the one that says studio RGB to computer RGB. You want to drag it down to your video track, drop it in there, and this will pop up in your face. This is basically the settings for the studio RGB to computer RGB. It just makes everything look much better, and you will notice in a second when I go back to the video feed. Let me just switch over there real quick. It's a little bit harder because I have to crop it and everything. Boom. Now it's the black screen right now. Let me just, there we go. Now you can't really see the difference since it's not showing it, obviously, but there's a little half circle at the top here, which is called the split screen view. Like there's a circle and there's like half of it is, one side is blue and the other side is white. You click on that and make sure it's selected to like left half or right half, doesn't matter which, and you'll see the difference. Now the left half is the old version and the right half is the new. Now if I move it around to a certain spot, you can see it a lot better. It's just, you can see that it's a lot more, I don't know the word, but you can see it's a lot grainy. It's not as sharp. It doesn't look as crisp. The colors aren't very vibrant compared to the one on the right side. So now I'm going to do select all so you can see the difference as I switch. So this is the old version. This is the new. Old, new, old, new. Now one of the things is the colors do get darker. They get a lot nicer to look at, but the blacks get really dark, so it's a little bit harder to see at certain points. So what I do is I brighten it up a little bit. I like to brighten it up a little bit in certain spots so you can see everything better. So I actually made a preset. You can easily make a preset. Let me just get back in there. Video events, FX. You can stop doing that. You can make a preset, which is what I did. All I did was I changed the offset, if I remember correctly. Either the offset or the gamma. I actually saved a bunch of ones, and I call this one brighter. I changed the gamma and the offset a bit, and it makes the video look a lot brighter, but the colors are a little off, so I gotta work with it a little bit more. But everything is much more brighter than it was before, so it's much see, this is the old version, the old crisp version, and this is the new one. It's a lot brighter. Everything is a lot easier to see, which is good because you want people to be able to see what you're doing. So once you do that and you have everything set up and you cut your video up and you edit it and all that good stuff, you want to save it first as whatever you want, and then after you save, you render it. Now let's get in rendering. I don't think I need this anymore, so let me just remove this second panel. I just need the top one. Alright, so now we're in the rendering process. You name it whatever you want, and the file type you should save it as is Sony AVC. You could save it as I think it's WMV. You could save it as WMV. That works too. But I like Sony AVC. It works a lot better. The files are usually smaller with Sony AVC if you know what you're doing. So once you're done, you got your templates here. You can select one of the presets, but they don't go up to 60 frames per second. So you want it to be 60 frames per second so the game moves properly. It looks much better 60 frames compared to 30. Because if you take a 60 to a 30, it doesn't come out properly. So what you want to do is hit custom. And let me just move this so you see it a lot better. Hopefully you see it a lot better. Alright. So you hit custom and you move on down. Your video format should be AVC. You don't want it on memory stick, of course. Your frame rate should be 1280 by 720. Don't go any higher than that. I've said this to Game Expert a bunch of times, but he still keeps doing it. Set it to 1280 by 720. Do not go 1920 by 1080. That's 1080p. You don't want it at 1080p. The one under it is 1080i. 1440 by 1080. That's 1080i. You don't want it at either of those. You want it at 720p. If you go any higher than that, you're just wasting CPU power and stupid. You're just doing stupidness, because taking a 720p video and just turning it 1080p in Sony Vegas doesn't automatically make the quality 1080p. It'll just label it as 1080p. It'll make the file bigger, but the quality won't be 1080p. It'll just be 720p with a 1080p label on it. You can't do that. So, word to the wise, if the file is 720p, leave the frame size as 1280 by 720p. Well, 1280 by 720. Now you move down, leave this as baseline, leave this as cab LC. Your frame rate, as you can see, it's 29.97. You see it does not go up to the one that we have it set as. All you have to do is type it in there. So you get rid of this and type 59.94, and it will love you long time. See, now it changes to 59.940000. And you just leave it as that. That'll make it the frame rate that you need it to be. You leave your field order as none. You leave your aspect ratio as 1. Now, bitrate. I've talked about this in another video. Bitrate is key to making your videos. This will determine how your videos look at the end result. I demonstrated how a pixelated video looks compared to a non-pixelated one. You can see there's a big difference. You can see when those little dots are there. So bitrate has something to do with that. And the highest you can make it, 20. The thing is, bitrate determines how big the file is. Also, that goes the same for your frame rate. Since 59.97 is pretty much double of 29.97, I said 59.97. 59.94 is pretty much double of 29.97. It's going to take a lot longer to render. The file size is going to be a lot bigger, but the quality is going to be a lot better. So you have a choice to make: have shitty quality and have fast rendering and uploads, or have great quality but it'll take longer to render and upload. I go with the greater aspect. I mean, I just leave my computer on and let it render while I'm gone, and when I come back, everything's ready and I upload it, and then I do the same thing again, let it upload, leave, come back, everything is uploaded. So right now I'm using 13 million bits per second. On some of my, like a couple of previous videos, I've actually used 20, but 20, when you set it to 20, the video size comes out to be 2.5 gigs, and that's a lot of hard drive space being wasted for just one video. So I decided to make it a lot smaller. So now my videos are taking up 1.5 gigs, which is okay, not too bad. So basically, I'd say for a starter, just set it on 10 and see how it looks. 8 to 10. It starts off at 8. 8 is the lowest it should be for 720p. 10 is a nice spot to be. So just set it on 10. Leave it there. Leave your encode mode to automatic, of course. Set your audio. I honestly don't remember what my audio was, so I'll just say leave it as this. You got the AAC 480 128,000 for your sample rate, your bit rate, 128,000, and leave it as stereo, not surround sound, because we're not doing any surround sound stuff. System, and you select your format as MP4, and project, just set it to best and just leave that alone. Once you're done, hit OK. But you also, if you know you're going to be doing this again, make sure you save the template. Save it as whatever you want. I actually have a few already. I have one for 13 bits per second. I have one for 20 bits per second. And a couple of other ones, updates for still videos, one for YouTube, regular YouTube stuff. And once you're done, you hit save, it'll render, and you get your final product. So that's about it. That's what I do. I hope this helps you with all your problems. If you have any other problems, let me know. And anybody else who's watching this, if you have any problems with your video, let me know. I will help you out in the best way I can. So this has been Masamaki21, aka Fatboy D. See you guys next time. Hello, this is Masamaki21, aka Fatboy D, and here is my little video sample of how to get your audio in sync. Now, I'm just gonna say this right now. It's a little hard, but then it's a little easy at the same time. Basically, you have to set up cues for yourself. I call them cues. During certain points in the game, you have to, like, if you're a commentator, there are certain spots where you point stuff out and you say something that's really hilarious, and all you have to do is remember what you said and when you said it, and then you just sync it up that way. That's how I do it. So I pretty much memorize some of the stuff I say while I'm doing the recording, and then I go back and say, oh, this is when I said this, and oh, this is when I said that, so I just sync it up. Now, look, this, oh, I thought that lady was chasing me down, but she's running away, so I'm about to grab her. Oh,
walking death machine.
That's how I do in the hood. I still haven't finished this game, as you all know. I haven't even continued the storyline as of yet. Oh, I fucked that up. Saving the day, baby. Look at his face. He's got blood all over it. He doesn't even care that I just, like, drop kicked him. Alright, whoa, they've got laser beams. But anyway, that's about it.
So how you do?
Quick demonstration, and moving on while I do my dance. Okay, so that's about it. I basically showed you how to set up the PVR, how to record with it, how to sync up the audio, and how to properly edit your videos in Sony Vegas to the settings that the PVR records. Now, if anyone has any problems whatsoever, feel free to let me know. I'm here to help. So this has been Masamaki21, aka Fatboy D. See you guys next time.